وصلاتان وسلامان على حبيب الرحمن محمد خير بني العدنان وعلى آله وصحابته ومن ترسم خطاهم إلى يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم ذكرنا ما نسينا وعلمنا ما جهلنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا يا رب العالمين. Allow me first and foremost to express my profound gratitude to the organizers of this very important meeting. Let me start with members of the high table. Alhaji Bai on my far right, who is a brother and a very important person and a friend representing Imam Ratib, and my elder brother Ajamai, please, this is your command, sit here. Elder brother Alhaji Mustafa Jallo from the State House Mosque. On my immediate right, Justice Jallo, with whom I spoke a number of times. I think for now 5 months now, whom I found very attractive, very attentive. So, and we just meet today. And on my left, I have my friend Kadi Seka, who is the chairman of Kadi Panel's Appeal. Ajah Maimuna Sabit just arrived, and Ajah Jainab Diba, who was here. I say Imam Jawara, the Sheikh of Bilal Mosque, Bilal Madrasa is also here, and many important personalities. Allow me to thank you all. Justice Jallo just whispered in my ear that he is in a hurry and he has to leave after his presentation. Definitely he is very engaged. I'm very happy that he is here. He was able to make it here. But because chairing such commissions are not easy, that is why definitely we agree. But I asked him just to wait maybe until I give my short comment on this. I haven't written a paper. I just want to give you a nutshell of history, because the topic given to me is about issues in the Constitution, as well as specific issues that are concerning to all believers. Let me inform you that when it comes to this particular meeting, I was, with the help of Allah, very instrumental in triggering this meeting. Why? Because when I received the act that is governing the CRC, of course, chairman talked about that subsection 6 on the secularity. Then I said, okay, let me send some audios, and I sent the audios. Then this particular meeting resulted out of maybe that. That is why it is important to get that nutshell of history. The reason why I am here is وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ كَافِرُونَ فَاسِقُونَ ظَالِمُونَ. So I'm not here representing, for example, Muslims, but especially myself, but to join with Muslims, to join with Christians, to join with any individual who is interested in joining us in keeping the peace of the Gambia. I am not here representing Muslims because I know when I go to my grave, I'll be alone. So that is why it is my responsibility. Allah says in the Quran in Ma'idah that whosoever is using a law or is governing, is using a rule that is not which I, Allah, send, then you are described as a kafir or fasiq or zalim. So that makes me very concerned when we are to create a new law that is called the Constitution, the highest law of the land, a law that will govern you. So if anybody just go to United States or any other country governed by laws that are not in line with Allah, you cannot do anything about it, then Allah will understand, okay, you don't like it, but you live like that. But when you create law yourself, then now you will be held accountable. So when constitution is to be created, and it belongs to all of us, then Allah will ask you and me tomorrow that yahkum, that the law that govern you, and you are supposed to say something about it, and the law come to me contradicting my law to you, what do you say about it? That question that I cannot answer alone in my grave, that's why I'm here. Secondly, the Constitution, I am very much fond of the guidance of Allah. Constitutionalism to me is a second best. Allah also asks us to create constitutions. Maybe some people can say, why are you even creating constitution? The Prophet ﷺ was the first to create what we call Wathiqatul Madina. So meaning Islam also allow us. Islam allow us, because otherwise I wouldn't come here. I come because of Waman Lam Yahkum. I also come because of my constitutional duty, meaning coming together to create a law that will govern us. The Prophet also did that in Medina. They call it Wathiqatul Madina, the constitution of Medina. Even though the Quran was being revealed, but the Prophet also take time with the Christians and the Jews in Medina and created Wathiqatul Madina, they call it the constitution of Medina, which is edited by Muhammad Hamidullah. And in that constitution, if you read it, you find it amazing, where Muslims and Christians and Jews live together, and he described Jews and Christians as ummah with Muslimin. They are ummah ma'ana. So that also gave me the authority to be part of a constitution. Otherwise, I wouldn't be part of a constitution. So you have Quran that guide a constitution. That's why it's also our responsibility to be part of the constitutional creation. Not only, yes, it's not a privilege, but it's a responsibility. Okay, thirdly, Gambia belongs to us. Believe me, if it is destroyed, we are destroyed. If Gambia is in peace, we are in peace. No matter, even your donkey will not be in peace if Gambia is destroyed. Let alone the human beings, let alone anybody. That is why we have to keep that peace. And Gambia today, as I said in many of my khutbahs, is a cake, believe me, because it's a small country within an ocean of countries that are dragged in a world view, which is sometimes confusing. So now, because we are now in a crossroads, constitution is being created, it's a cake that everybody wants to have a peace. Not only in the Gambia locally, but globally. But it is our Gambia. If you don't protect the Gambia, if Gambia destroy, those that are outside will enjoy their cake, then we are the ones suffering here in the Gambia. That is why the peace that have been maintained in this country, through cohesion, through what we call religious tolerance, through even not knowing who belongs to what, is a peace that we inherited from our religious values, whether we like it or not. So Gambia is a religious country. Why? Because 95% or whatever is a Muslim. Less than that is a Christian. The rest are non-Muslims or non-Christians. But then we can call it a religious country. So the peace we have is a religious peace. Let me tell you that. It's a religious peace. It's not something else. That's why that peace have to be maintained. So three things made me here. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَثِيقَةُ الْمَدِينَةِ. And thirdly, anything that I can say to keep the peace. Because what we had since independence, that has made Gambia a role model without even checks and balance. I have been in Malaysia, I have been to South Africa. Some of those countries are also religious cohesion, but there are checks and balance in terms of law. In Malaysia, you have certain act that will keep religious intention in check. But in the Gambia, it's natural. You meet a Christian, he gives you nanburu, you give him this and that, it's natural. So that nature, I don't want that nature to be confused. Because the moment you bring something new, then people start like, oh, something is going on. Something is going on. So to maintain that peace, well, that's why we have to be very careful. So these three things bring me to the meeting today. A constitution is fragile, let me tell you. This constitution that we are trying to amend was created by a group of juntas. Yeah, a constitution is a very fragile document. It's not like the Quran that the Prophet that Allah sent and protected. It's a piece of paper that is a little bit fragile in terms of, even when we finish today, after 2 years, a group of soldiers can come and abolish it. The constitution now we are amending was abolished by a group of juntas. So which is telling you the fragility of a constitution. So that is why it is important now that we understand the nature of the constitution, and then we play our part to make sure that when we go into our grave, whether the constitution is good or is bad, but we tell Allah, okay, Allah, we say what we think was the reason for this. So now to go to the issues. The issues has already been discussed. I know that Kali Seka, they have their own paper. You go to many people, they have their papers. For me, I think the purpose of this meeting is now to synthesize and summarize those position papers into one and then give it to Justice Jallo. So let us know now, this is our contribution, not necessarily that what we say or what anybody say is going to be in the Constitution, but you have to express your view, you have to express your concern and give them. And today the issues that we are going to discuss is going to be discussed by, for example, on the youth already talked to him, and it is the point of view of Islam or religious point of view. The Qadi Seka has their position, and I'm talking about the position of youth is very important, because Islam is also very attached a lot of importance to the youth. Secondly, women. Ajame Munasabit is here, and Justice also talk about it. The issue of women, because women and children are the eggs through which every individual who wants to destroy your country can come in. So it's very important that we talk to their issues. Thirdly, the issue of the Qadi Court. We know that the Qadi Court was a gift to the Gambia even before independence. It's about 100 more years in the Gambia. It is not about the results of any constitution, but it's the results of pre-independent. So I think that also is another issue. The third issue is the issue of issues that we subjected to personal law in the past. I remember when CRC came, Convention on the Rights of the Child, when the Domestic Violence Act came, when the Women's Bill came, I was very present to make sure that any issue that touches Sharia is subjected to personal law. Because that is also the dictates of our Constitution. Now, there are attempts, I know, to derail that also. So that is also another issue. What we had subjected to personal law should remain in personal law. So these are the issues that I think we will discuss, inshallah. So with that, I would like just to thank you and tell you that the history of me being part of the other issue is about the secularity. Of course, it's going to be a little bit, it's not going to be controversial, because the secularity, regardless of what somebody say it means, I'm not talking about the philosophical definition of it, because every individual can be subjectively define a particular issue based on his experience. Muslim experience is also something else. But I'm not talking about what it means, but in the secularity, I'll just touch on the facts that it never, the term never had been in our constitution legally. There are constitutions that are being carried by people having the term in section 1. I am telling you that it has never been there legally. Somebody put it down, and I know who did it in this country. I know who did it in this country those days. So regardless of what it means, you can tell me it means this, Mr. John, Mr. Michael, Mr. Omar say it means this. Put the meaning aside, because it's subjective. And we don't have an angel to come and tell us, no, don't say this. An angel will not come and tell us the definition. But I'm talking, put the definition aside, we talk about facts and history. The word secular has never been in our constitution legally. Section 1 has it, but somebody put it there. And he was a minister, I know him. It was when in the first constitution, Jawara's constitution, didn't have the word section 1. There was never the word. When President Jammeh came, the first draft didn't have it. In 2001, it was the first attempt to put the word secular in the section 1, which also went to the courts and failed. And I have the case here. Kevin Singh Jammeh versus the Attorney General. Meaning in terms of facts, the word secular, regardless of what it means, never has been in our constitution legally. So it has never been. So now, depending on whether, of course, when you look at the act that now is governing the CRC, the act and Justice also mentioned it, the act mentioned national cohesion, which I totally agree. But the act mentioned the continued secularity, which I disagree totally, and I state the parliament, you made a mistake. If the parliament mentioned the word secularity, that it has been secular, I said it's not true. Why? Because the word secular was never been in our constitution. It was an attempt in 2001, and the courts defeated that. The court said it should not be there until it has gone to referendum. It has never been to referendum. Then section 1 of our constitution that has that word become unconstitutional. The unconstitutionality of section 1 of our constitution. And I face the best lawyers in this country. I faced one of the ministers one day. I was having an interview with him. I think it was a minister, what is the name again? I don't want to tell the name. But he came to an interview in the University of The Gambia because he wanted to teach in the law school. I was in the panel. He was a minister of justice. So the first question I asked him to comment on the constitutionality of section 1 of our constitution, which has secular. He said, Dr. Jah, I am appointed to uphold the law. I said, no, I'm saying, what is your comment on the constitutionality of section 1 of our constitution? Dr. Jah, I'm appointed to uphold the law. That's why I didn't pass him that day. I didn't give him job. He was a minister, wanted to teach. I didn't give him job. What happened is that in 2001, when that was done, I wrote the first article, Is the Gambia a Secular State? That article I discussed, and that day I discussed it with the best lawyers in the judiciary, Uncle Fafambay, Uncle Chiasin Seka, all of them. Chiasin Seka that day cried. He said, I was the minister, Dr. Jah, but I did not know what it meant. I didn't know the meaning. Secondly, we wanted to do it to appease the Tubabs. He told me personally, and I have my witnesses. Yeah. But then we agreed then that Gambia has never been secular, neither de jure nor de facto. Neither de jure because law is both substance and procedure. If you can have a beautiful law in substance, but if the procedure is wrong, then it's not law. You can put my name in the constitution today. You can have a soft copy and say Dr. Jah is the president of the Gambia. And you put it in the constitution. Does that make me president? No. Why? Because law is both substance and procedure. If the procedure is wrong, law ceases to be law. Then section 1 has been unconstitutional. And any copy of the constitution of today that has secular in that section makes that unconstitutional. And I said that. And I said it before the lawyers, and they agree. So then Gambia has never been secular in the word secular, neither de facto nor de jure. De jure meaning by law, de facto meaning by fact. By fact because you have cadet system, you have this, you have that. Okay, those now who come about the meaning, put the meaning aside. We are not talking about the meaning. You can say this is the meaning, this is the meaning. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about by fact. The word has never been there. So our position is now the word should be also off because we want to live in peace and don't wake up the sleeping lion. That's the only thing. Because the peace we live in the past was religious tolerance, and now let that be the key. So when we're going to bring now that word, it's going to just create problem that which be counterproductive. So that's why this is my introduction. So because chairman was in a hurry, and I said, please just wait a little bit to listen to this, then I thank you very much, sir. And we will definitely continue today in the issues and then summarize it and submit to him. At the end of the day, whatever the case, Allah will ask us and we can answer correctly in our gift. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.